It's now been 2 weeks since I landed here in Vietnam, so I wanted to give you an update on what's been going on as a whole the first 2 weeks. The first priorities, and before I get into actually that, let me just say that it's a bit overwhelming. I'm reminded of when I first arrived at the Philippines, just how overwhelming it is to be in a whole new atmosphere, a whole new country where everything is just different from everything you were used to. And even though I spent 6 years in the Philippines, coming to Vietnam, you can find some nuances that are similar and whatever, but really it's kind of overwhelming, and you just have to stay calm and have a plan. And hopefully this video will help you to have a plan so that you can just kind of like just absorb all the data that's coming at you with people and places, and you don't know the geography and whatever. Just kind of let that kind of go past and over through you, and just stay focused on the chief priorities. So the priorities when I landed, the first one I took care of before I ever got here, which is lodging. When you get off the plane, you want to know already before you even get here, you want to know where you're going to stay. You get off the plane at whatever time you do. Now, I landed at about 1 o'clock in the morning, but I already had my Airbnb set up. In the other video, you got to see the Airbnb that I got over there at Vinhomes. I booked that about 5 weeks before I actually arrived. So it was confirmed, it was paid for, done deal. I had already, about 3 days before I arrived, made arrangements with the landlord online to where they would have my card key and room key and all that kind of stuff. So that is the first priority. Know where you're going to stay, once you arrive. You don't want to just arrive and then ask the taxi driver, hey, could you find me a hotel? That's not a good plan. So in order to get the best place, best price, and have a plan, work out your lodging before you get here. Now, the second priority is as soon as you arrive, and you can handle this a couple different ways, is you want to have some pocket money. Now, depending on your budget, really all you need is pocket money for like the first 2 days. And in Vietnam or the Philippines, $50 or $60 is plenty. And the reason I say don't really go beyond 50 or 60 bucks is because you're probably going to exchange your money at the money changer at the airport, either on your layover on the way here, or once you get to, say, Vietnam. They do have money changers at the airport. The exchange rate kind of sucks at the airport. When I checked it, it was something like, now the Forex was roughly, let's just stick with $100, $100. $100 would get you 2.3 million dome, and whereas at the airport, they were only going to offer I believe it was 1.5. So you're losing, quite a big chunk there, with $100. I'm not good with the math, but basically 2.3 is a lot better than 1.5. So all I did was changed about $60, and I only needed that in order to get to my third top priority. So first is your lodging, second is to have some pocket money, and third is your internet. Now, I can't even imagine how people traveled prior to the internet. I mean, they really had to be some brave souls and carry big wads of cash with them. But now with the internet, you need that internet for a couple of reasons. One is so that you can call up a Grab. Now, I was fortunate enough that my buddy, who used to be in Cebu and had gone to Thailand, was now in Vietnam, and he was kind enough to meet me at the airport. But had that not happened, you want to have the cash and you want to have the internet as soon as, before you even leave the airport. Now, at the airport, they do have Mobiphone, and they got a couple other providers. The word I keep getting is that it's okay just for your first week. You're going to get some pretty crappy promo plans that are a bit overpriced. but at least you got something so that now you can call up a Grab. You should already know the written down the address to the place that you're going to stay at. That way you can type it into the Grab and you can go ahead and, get to your place that you're going to stay at. So those would be the first three top priorities: is know where you're going to land, have some pocket money in the local currency, and then your internet, even if it's just a temporary plan just to get you around. Okay, so that's what I did. I got those first three things in place. Then once I had that in place, then it was chopping away for the next 10 days. It took me 10 days, and that was every day, just working on things to get everything in place that I wanted in place. And it was a little bit exhausting. And a couple of days I was out. I was already shooting video, and like my first night, I think I slept about. I think I slept between 7 and 9 a.m. or 5 and 7 a.m. something like that. It was 2 hours, and there was just so much to do. So what I did was I got a MobiFone plan, and that seems to be working out okay. It's like, I don't know, it's like 10 or 15 bucks for 20 gigs, which is more than enough for my phone plan, because I also have free internet here and whatever. Now the lodging was only temporary, just so that I could look for an apartment. I could have looked for an apartment online, and again, depending on your budget, if you just think you like the pictures and you're willing to commit to it on a 6-month lease, that's up to you. Personally, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to just have the temporary Airbnb for 2 weeks so that I could look around in person and walk into the apartment and get a feel for it, get a feel for the manager, whether he's going to be easy or hard to deal with, what his English level is like. I wanted to do it all that in person. So that's what I did. And I just kind of hit the ground running. Again, that first week I went out, and in fact, my second day, I was out looking at apartments. Now, as far as where I went to look for apartments, once I got here, there's several different ways. Number one, I would recommend go to the Facebook groups. They're on Facebook. And you can type in, for instance, for Vietnam, you can do the same thing for Hanoi, Da Nang, wherever. But just type in, say, for instance, Ho Chi Minh City apartments. Now, in this case, Ho Chi Minh City is also known as Saigon. So you can type in Saigon apartments. And you can do it one of two ways. You can either just look through all the listings and see the pictures and the rent prices and all that. And you kind of want to figure out what district you want to be in. Get familiar with the districts, at least here in Ho Chi Minh City especially. You want to find some websites that talk about, like, for instance, District 1 is like the metro area. That's where a lot of business is, the high-end expensive condos, that kind of thing. There's District 7, there's District 3. Well, there's like 12, maybe 12, 13, I don't know, maybe more districts. And they each have their own nuance. They're some are a bit more residential than others, some are more business than others. So you want to get a feel for what districts, what they're like, so that when you look at the ads, you kind of know, oh, okay, I'm going to be 10 minutes away from downtown, or I'm going to be in downtown. I'm going to be near the river or whatever. So you can do one or two things. You can either go to the Facebook group or Craigslist. There's a lot of apartments up, they're on Craigslist. Just move it over to Ho Chi Minh City, Da Nang, Hanoi, wherever you happen to be planning on going. And you can just go through the listings and then contact each person. Now, the other way of doing it is a little bit more efficient. And what you do is you make a posting in one of these groups, and you just say, I'm looking for an apartment, this price range, studio, whatever, must include internet, must have, maximum this rent. I need it by such and such date. Send me your offers. And then most everybody that matches your criteria is going to contact you. And now you have a shorter list to look at to get an apartment. And now you got leads, to go. You can connect with them, get the address, punch it into Grab, and go check it out. But you are going to get some people that when you're asking for a 1-bedroom studio, they're going to send you ads for 3-bedroom studio, So you're going to have to just kind of weed those ones out. But as far as finding an apartment, I can't stress enough. The Facebook groups are very, very, very helpful because then you can communicate through Messenger with the landlord or the property manager, whoever, to set up a meeting time and all that. It's very convenient. Um, Now, the other way, in my case, that I found my address or my apartment was through a personal recommendation. Again, the same friend that picked me up at the airport said there was a vacancy at the building he was at. So I went ahead and checked out two other different places, which you saw on video. Came down here. I really liked it. So that's this place here that I got now. So that was the first another thing that I had to do. Now I'll be doing a video here soon on banking. If you're going to be here long term and not just on a short vacation, then I would highly recommend that you get a bank account here. And there's a company or a bank here. It's a digital bank called Timo. And you'll see in the video when I put it out, it's not your average bank. It's very cool actually. It's kind of like a combination between banking and Starbucks. But you basically the reason I recommend getting a local account is because number one, it's super easy. I mean, you apply online in 2 minutes, you show up, and then they'll give you a coffee, and they'll have your card with your name printed on it. You fill out a couple, bits of paperwork to set up the account. You get your card, you set your PIN code, you're done. Now you have a bank account. Now, the reason I recommend it is because if you're going to live here long term, you're going to be moving your money into that account. I recommend moving in just 1 or 2 months worth of money at a time. I'm not a big fan of like just moving huge amounts of money. And the reason you want to do this is so that when you're on your daily life, just going around town, your bank card, say to your home bank, whether it be Wells Fargo or Bank of America or wherever it is that you bank at back home, that card you can keep safe and protected, hidden away in your apartment, or in my case, I use a lock tote bag. And then when you're walking around town, all you're carrying is the local Timo ATM card, and you can use that for all your transactions. And if you happen to lose your wallet or whatever, you lose that card, you can just stop into the branch, and in literally 5 minutes, they'll make you another one. Whereas if you're carrying your home country ATM card or bank card, debit card, credit card, if you're carrying around that every day and then you lose that, well, now replacing that is a much harder, issue to deal with. So that's why I recommend if you're going to be here long term, get a local bank account, just move in 1 or 2 months at a time, and that way you can stow away your home bank card and keep it safe. All right. The next thing I had to set up was my groceries. My apartment came with a full, well, semi-full fridge, medium-sized fridge, I would say. And it just happened that Tet Festival is coming up in about 2-3 weeks. So I've got plenty of time to go ahead, and every time I go to the grocery store, I pick up some chicken, some meat. I get stuff to make pasta. I'm little by little building up my groceries here. That's a good idea anyway, but with Tet Festival coming up, there'll be 4 days where the entire town, the whole country really, is going to be shut down. Like if you've ever been in spent Easter in the Philippines, you know what I mean. The whole town shuts down. Hardly anything is open. I mean, you're lucky maybe if the gas stations are open. But there's no groceries, no nothing. So again, one more reason why you should know how to cook. So I'm just stocking up on groceries here before the festival so that when the day comes and everything is closed, I'll make myself a nice pasta dinner, some chicken teriyaki or whatever. Now, if you truly just don't know how to cook, then I would recommend you go and get some banh mi sandwiches and like the day before Tet, buy like 10 of them, I don't know, and put them in the fridge. They're these like grinder type sandwiches, and then you could just live off of those, I guess, for 4 days. But again, life is better when you know how to cook. The rest of the 10 days, as you may have seen in the first videos that I put out, those were shot my second day. I mean, I just hit the ground running, and it's going to take you time for instance, you already know, and I already knew, that there isn't much English spoken here in Vietnam. And you've got all these things going on. You're trying to keep track of your plane itinerary, you're packing, you're getting your internet going, you're doing your banking, you're setting up your Airbnb, you're doing all these things. And then the next thing you know, it's like, hey, I got to eat. So it's very, easy to just kind of like go to a restaurant and then you really realize, oh, well, gee, yeah, I got to communicate with these people because not every place has photos on the menu. And even with the photos, it can get a little confusing. So you'll want to do things like, for instance, now I took screenshots and I put them on my phone, and I can really quickly, rather than using Google Translate, which takes a little bit more time. I mean, assuming you've got a good Wi-Fi signal, it still takes a little time to just speak your sentence in there, and then it spits it out. And then if there's background noise or music, which happens a lot, there's loud music playing in the restaurant, Google is like, what did you say? So it's faster, I found, to just take screenshots off your computer, Bluetooth them into your phone, or you can Bluetooth them off of your phone directly. And I can scroll through, and I have phrases that I did off of Google Translate where it says, do you have beef noodles? Do you have chicken with rice? Whatever. And I can scroll through, I show it to her, and she's like, oh, okay. But that's so much easier and faster. But it'll take you time to kind of do this. And so just give yourself some time to find these workarounds. Again, it's really easy to say, just, go use Google Translate and your life will be simple. When you get to the actual doing of it, it still can be a bit cumbersome. So just have a couple different ways that you can communicate. The next thing is navigation. What I would highly recommend is when you get to your Airbnb, use either Maps.me or Google Maps and set your current location, there at your apartment, your Airbnb or your new apartment, whatever, and save that location into your settings as one of your favorites. So that way, when you wander off into town and you end up taking a bus here or a grab there, or you come out the other end of the mall, you'll know where your apartment is because you saved it on your phone. Otherwise, it's kind of a scary feeling to go in the mall and you can't find the same exit that you entered in through, and you come out the mall on a different street, and now you have no clue where's north, south, east, west, let alone where your apartment is. So that's why it's good to have the internet, the Grab, Maps.me, Google Maps. Navigation is a huge one because it's kind of nice at the end of the day to find your apartment, and get some rest. So that's kind of just a brief overview of my first 10 days, my first 2 weeks, actually. After the first 10 days, now the last 4 or 5 days, I've finally been able to just kind of relax. Right about mid-December, I'd been meaning to just kind of like start looking into yoga. I don't know, I just figure it'll be helpful. So I'm not really into the whole meditation thing. I just think it's a good thing to stretch, and remain limber and all that kind of stuff. So about mid-December back in California, I just went on YouTube and looked up beginner yoga. It's pretty easy stuff. It's just doing it every day. So I'm sticking with that. Now that I'm here at my apartment, I'm going to probably get an actual yoga mat, and then I'll lay it out here in the morning and maybe even before evening and just do my stretches and whatever. Here on the background, you might see that I've got it muted right now. But to just kind of relax, I play these like spa. If you go into YouTube and you just type in, this is playing off of YouTube. If you go into YouTube and you type in spa music, relaxing water sounds, that kind of thing, they'll have like a 3-hour playlist. Some of them are 24 hours a day. And I've got a bunch of them bookmarked, and I play those on low volume while I'm working or whatever. Just kind of a way to, again, just de-stress and, keep your blood pressure down and do a little yoga, do some walking. I mix carrot juice and orange juice together. It's just one of my favorite drinks. Just trying to do little baby step type stuff, to take better care of health, that kind of thing. So anyways, that's my 2-week wrap up, and I'll be I'll be covering after 30 days. After I've been here 30 days, I'll do another update follow-up video on expenses, on what it actually ended up costing me for my first 30 days. One big ticket item was getting not a motorcycle, a scooter. I just got a scooter 3 days ago, and that makes a huge difference. Getting around on grab bike is okay, but me personally, I don't feel safe going from one end of the town to the other side of town on the back of a motorcycle. I always feel like I'm going to fall off. I feel better holding on to the handlebars and being in control myself. So having your own scooter, if you're going to be here long term, even short term, you can rent them really inexpensively. But the average going price for a used motorcycle is about $250 to $350. So you can buy a motorcycle for what you would have normally spent on grab bike in the space of 3 months. So it really is a cost-effective way and thing to do. All right, so look forward to your comments, and if you have any questions, I'll follow up there. And like I said, after 30 days, then I'll let you know how the whole budget kind of pieced together after 30 days. All right, see you then. Bye-bye.